What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is Betting with the Bag, October 2nd, and the day is finally here. Joe Anisi's birthday and the start of the NHL season. I'm pumped up. NHL package ready to go. Watching every single game tonight. I'm pumped. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. DX5, there's our guy, Joe Anisi. Joanne Nisi says, Jimmy, it's my birthday. Don't want to force one, but would enjoy a little birthday pick. No need to force it. NHL's here, baby. Knights -1.5, plus 160. You take Evander Kane out of that lineup, Ryan Reeves going to run roughshod over everyone. Kane's the only guy who can physically stand up to you. Now, so can Brent Burns, but he's got too much other things to do. Knights -1.5. Knights get revenge game 1. Knights at home. First NHL bet of the season for me. Dennis Garcia in the house says all caps, big game in St. Louis. Last two Stanley Cup winners facing off night uno. Marvin Games, Fortnite in the house. Matt Randall, our guy. Nutflush Allen, Mississippi Kid. What a great, great group this is. Mally Mal, Mr. Gokster. Of course Gokster's back. Of course he is for the start of NHL. Of course he is. Nate Dogg in the house. Mela Payless Way. Cobra Sports. Serious Business. Iona Maha. Mississippi Kid says, love the Knights -1.5. You're gonna take the Sharks. You're gonna take out Donskoy. You're gonna take out Pavelski. You're gonna take out Kane. Who are you adding? Who did they add? Nicholas Fogg says, watch for Sharks to cross-check refs tonight. Viper NB in the house. Mississippi Kid on the Washington Capitals. I know a lot of people on the Washington Capitals. That is not going to be a move that I make. Kuznetsov with the cocaine suspension. Nutflush Allen says, like I said yesterday about high volatility in one-game playoff, scary spot to bet, but I'm alive at 40-1 with the Nats. You just never know. I love it. Matt Randall says, breakdown of the game yesterday was spot on. It would have been better if I had have taken the Brewers first 5 plus a half, which is what I wanted to do, but whatever. He says, if Max was going to get touched, it was going to happen in the first inning, and it did. Stay off game for mostly everyone. Nice job. Nice job. There's A. Haley. There's Dutch Boy Fresh in the house. Dutch Boy Fresh did push the first 5 under. Okay, well, that's good to know. Good to know. There's Anna Merrick in the house. My main man, Lizo, in the house. Putting picks out on Twitter, hitting 3-0. I've been a little behind. I have to get all my... I was on the salary cap page for hours. I had my hockey pool last night. I've just been nonstop NHL and just, alone in the dark hammering NHL. So I haven't, but Lizo, I'm going to be a big supporter of all of your action, and thank you for sharing your hard work with us. All right, let's get to it. This is what's up. In 27 minutes, we're going to be joined by Parlay Papi. He wants to talk about each and every NHL game. I would like to talk about each and every NHL game and the wild card game before Papi gets here. Then we're going to hear Papi's looks on those same games. Papi very good at NHL. And then we have our guy, Teddy Covers, joining us. Brad Hansen says, good morning. How are you? Just curious, Jimmy, if you know the stats for the teams who give up the least home runs. Yeah, we can pull that up for you easily. That you can just, at ESPN stats, maybe when Pop, here, I'll copy and paste that so I can do that when Poppy's on the show. All right, let's go. Okay, let's go. Let's start with the bet I'm making. Let's get right to it. I'm on the Knights -1.5. And I was like, you know what? You don't have to have a bet night one. You don't have to. Don't have to have a bet night one. And when I come back here for the late show, all my futures will be in. They'll all be official picks. And I think it's just nine bets right now. 9. And I think I'm going to keep it real light even. I think it's just going to be $100 bets, 9 $100 bets. So I think I'm going to take a big step back from the amount of futures I made last year. We will talk more about that. Adam said, took Jimmy's Canes and Devils to win the East. I love that. I love that. Okay, Daniel Hernandez says, let's go, Jimmy. Hockey is your bread and butter. It is. Eddie Oler says, what do you think of Timo Meier this season? I think Timo Meier is the moves, letting go of Pavelski, letting go of Donskoy, they were made because of Timo. So the Sharks brass has enormous hope for him. There's Lamont Williams cashing his max bet, full game under 7.5. Great job, Lamont. Okay, Knights, Sharks have created a legitimate rivalry, and the NHL sorely needs it. I'm excited that they've done this. Let's pull up these numbers right now. Where am I here? Sorry. Oh, because I've already signed up for the SBR NHL contest. If anybody wants to go up against me in this contest at SBR, free to enter. I'll just put the link in right here. Here we go. And I've already locked in I've made 2 plays because what I do now, what worked for me in the baseball contest was if I really like a spot to double up there. All right. Casano Magic says, I'm on the other side with the Sharks. Well, let me just explain my spot. But one thing, Casano Magic, is there's nothing wrong being on the other side of me. This is us just working together, trying to find angles. So no problem. And it's a nice feeling knowing that one of us can win. There's Manny Sanchez in the house. Manny Sanchez says best time of year in Canada. Okay. Vegas Golden Knights. So 5 months. 5 months they're stewing over that penalty. That penalty that should not have been a 5-minute major, but the Knights should not have allowed 4 power play goals, and that it's doing power play. It shows you the heart of this team, now led by Logan Couture. Vegas was up 3-0. We all know the story. Sharks score 4 goals in 4 minutes. Second time in NHL history that a team scored 4 goals on a power play in a playoff game. So now we have a team with Pavelski, who scored a team-high 38 goals. Now, Pavelski was a leader. There's not going to be this huge glut of leadership from the Sharks team because you still have Joe Thornton, and he's a leader. And so, like when they picked up Evander Kane, when they made the trade, there was a lot of questions about Evander Kane's character. Pavelski and Thornton went to the airport, picked his ass up because they're leaders. It's going to be a big loss losing Pavelski. And Merrick says, I'm down to play an NHL contest this year. I love it. Joe Nisi, no, it's not my birthday today, Joe. It's your birthday today. My birthday's in a couple days, but no, sorry, I didn't mean to mess it up. Matt says, like that, I forgot a Beer jersey, like that, hope all's well at the hockey begin. I love it. I got my yellow Nucks jersey on my chair, too. Okay. All right, and Rob Perwano giving out, Drew Daddy says, birthday pick for me today, anyone? Look at that. Drew Daddy and Joe and Nisi celebrating their birthday. How dope is that? Joe and Nisi and Drew Daddy, yes. Yes, I'm not usually confident about a birthday pick, and it is night 1 of the NHL, but I am on the Knights -1.5. Okay, so let's talk more about this. Okay, so they take away Pavelski, 38 goals. And I don't think it hurts them. But this is a veteran-laden team that can get over it. The problem tonight is they're going to be without Evander Kane. 30 goals last year, 3-game suspension for physical abuse of an official in their loss at Vegas on Sunday. Now, that was an exhibition game, a preseason game on Sunday with 114 penalty minutes. Vegas is angry. San Jose likes it. They want to get under Vegas' skin, and they've done that. So let's talk more about that. Dan Kelly says, I tried to be a smart gambler, and hopefully I will be a winning gambler. Much love to you, Dan Kelly. We've missed you so much. I knew you'd come back around this time of year, and we love you dearly. Great to see Dan Kelly in the house. There's Gio Mercedes ready to get to work. And Nate Dogg liking Oakland money line at over 7.5. There's DJ Big Boss in the house. There's Bookie Lover Q. There's Dom Ricci. Love it. Okay, so let's go over this more. Erik Karlsson, off-season groin surgery. Does that mean he's going to be able to play 82 games? It's tough. It's tough for him to stay healthy. But coming into the season, his second year in San Jose, now that he's comfortable, he's going to be much better than he was last year. And he was good while he was healthy. He only scored 3 goals, but he was good. The big question with the Sharks, and it will be ever present all year long, is Martin Jones good enough? And the answer is no. And is Dell a good enough backup? The answer is no. Their goaltending's always going to hold them back. There's Jerry Beatty in the house. Mally Mal says Vegas, good money tonight. I agree. Brad Hand said Jimmy is Maple Leafs -1.5 a lock. No. The Senators always play the Leafs tough, but I would get why they would do it. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that shortly. Okay, so now let's talk about this Knights team and why I didn't make future bets with them, but why I will take them tonight. They are a very good hockey team. But they're no longer getting value from the Marchessault, Smith, Karlsson line. And we've talked about that over the last few days. When they came over in the expansion draft, they were getting paid peanuts. Now, Smith and Marchessault are both at $5 million per year. Carlson's at $5.9 million. So you have a second line that on paper is the best second line in the NHL. That's Pacioretty, Stastny, and Stone. Now, they've moved Stastny to the third line. They put Cody Glass in that second line. I think Cody Glass is going to be a great NHLer. He's a young kid, huge upside. But let's just talk about it as if it's the Pacioretty, Stastny, Stone line, because it could easily come back to that when you got a kid like Cody Glass. The issue here is that you're paying your second line $23 million. $23 million. Stone's $9.5 million per year, and he's not even on your first line. So, can you win when you pay your second line $23 million? Can you win a cup? When you pay your first line $15.9 million? When you're paying your first two lines $38 million? My answer is no. So my answer is no. Now, you're getting fortunate deals with Nate Schmidt at $5.9 million a year. I mean, if he was getting $6.5 million a year, I mean, you're not getting that much of a deal. But if he was getting $6.5 million, you get a great deal with Braden McNabb at $2.5 million a year. The icon says Stone's a stud, though. Yeah, but I would not pay him $9.5 million if I was running an NHL team. I wouldn't want him for $9.5. Eddie Oler says Stone will be on the first power play, though. That's true. Mr. Gokster shows how deep Vegas is, but yeah, very overpaid front two lines. I agree. Ben Sports 24/7 says Leafs is money. All right. So Torino's on Sharks and Toronto puck lines, and Capital plus 125. So he's on Sharks plus 1.5. The Sharks are going to get pushed around tonight without Evander Kane in the lineup. All right, my first play of the season. I got minus 1.5 at plus 170 at William Hill. I bet it at plus 160. There's Jansen, Bonds in the house. All right. There's the first look of my NHL season. Vegas Knights minus 1.5. Now let's move on to this first spot on the card. Senators at Leafs, going to the SBR odds page, sportsbookreview.com. Also, a reminder, we are moving our Pick 6 show to tomorrow evening. Our Pick 6 show is being moved to tomorrow evening. Excuse me. Tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are doing a new promo. We are giving out 6 $25 Amazon cards for those who take a picture of their Pick 6 picks and tweet them out. Then, if you are watching the Pick 6 show live, I will call out your name. If you're watching live, you will get a chance to pick either Raghu, Big Boss, or myself to take us on one-on-one for that week. If you beat whoever you pick, $25 gift card. And we're giving out 6 of them. Man, okay. Rem Most in the house. All right, so let's go into this. Senators, Leafs. Hockey's back, baby. Hockey's back. Okay, Senators, Leafs. Open the Leafs at minus 260, now at minus 265. This total opened up at 6. It's now at 6.5. Jin Rummy got on the 6, and that was a great move, especially when it moves up a half goal. We just know this one thing about these Ottawa Senators is no matter how bad they are, they play the Leafs tough. They finished last in the NHL last season. They got rid of Carlson, Duchesne, Stone, Zingle last year. During the offseason, they made a ton more changes. The 22 healthy players on the Senators roster, 12 were not on the roster first game of last season. They trade Ceci and Harper to the Leafs. They sent Zach Smith, who's a character guy, to the Blackhawks. They signed Thomas Chabot to an 8-year, $64 million contract extension. He's a great young defenseman. I'm a big fan of Thomas Chabot. I think he's going to be a beast. Their new coach, DJ Smith. He was an assistant coach with Babcock for the last 4 seasons. They've got a lot of Leaf flavor on this team. They traded and made moves. They added Hainsey. They added Zaitsev. They added Connor Brown and Tyler Ennis. 4. That's right. 4 Leafs. They're adding 4 Leafs. Beautiful. Anthony Mastinardi. I love seeing that. And we got Dan Kelly giving us BGA Shriners Hospital open moves. I'm going to copy and paste this. Thank you, Dan Kelly. Okay. Don Reach says the keg was on 6 hours on Monday. Yeah, it was It was a long one. A. Haley says, your thoughts on taking first period unders, opening night, a lot of emotions, high intensity. I don't dislike them, but they give me anxiety. They give me a ton of anxiety. It's funny because I don't mind first quarter NBA bets. I guess I'm just so close to hockey, more close to hockey than I am any other sport, and I just don't love it. I just don't love it. Carlos Barroge, Ottawa will be the worst team in the NHL. You know, that is likely, but they're also going to have a good vibe. They have a young team. They've got rid of some of the bad apples, the Duchesnes. I don't think they're going to be terrible. I don't think they're going to be terrible. Pie Guy says Zaitsov is a forward playing defense. Intervention in the house. Jimmy's in such a good mood because NHL's back. I am. Very, 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 very excited. Okay, and Matt Randall dropping his taint action. I'm going to copy and paste this, even though I have this from yesterday's show. Going to copy and paste this right now. Copy and paster. Copy and paste. Okay, so let's get back to this Senators team. I think that they're going to be a team that we're going to find value with. Now, we got to pick our spots. This might be a great one. First game of the season. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to have too many bets early in the season, and I only have one tonight. But the Senators team is going to be better than they've been. They're going to have a better vibe. And their young players, led by Brady Tkachuk and Thomas Chabot, are going to enjoy getting first unit minutes. All right, let's keep rolling. Leafs had a good enough regular season, but lost again to the Bruins. Second year in a row, losing to the Bruins in the first round. Bottom six forwards are very different from last year. They got Alex Kerfoot. They got Mikheyev from the KHL. He was okay in the KHL. Ron Crawford saying spreadsheet Oakland. Wow. Spreadsheet Oakland. Melvin Patanza saying under in Ottawa. Toronto looks good. I traditionally do very poorly in totals the first couple weeks of the year, but we're going to have all those stats ready this year. Eddie always saying Brady Tkachuk, best player up front for Ottawa. I love him. Jamel Wright loving that over in the Georgia Southern game. And Brian Watson ready to get to work. Tom Marino says, I think Senators will be solid, well-coached team. I think Toronto comes strong here, though. I agree with that. Okay, so let's talk about this Leaf squad. Let's talk about it. Okay, so they add Mikheyev from the KHL. They add Moore. They add Spezza, which I don't know why. I do not expect him to be on the roster come the end of the season. He's going to be on the line with Gauthier, the GOAT, who I like as a fourth liner. I just don't believe that Spezza can possibly play defense. Matt Randall says, any word from St. Louis Elite? He was a huge asset to the show last year. Yeah, I retweeted his tweet this morning. He says he's going to be on the show, ready to rock. So maybe he's watching right now. But yes, we need St. Louis Elite. There's my guy, Alex Ramirez, in the house. Okay, so the key Maple Leaf forwards, Tavares, Marner, and Matthews, and they have William Nylander, Johnson, and Kasperi Kapanen. But four of those guys are getting paid enormous amounts of money. Their defense looks to be stronger. Now, they're dealing with a couple injuries. Hyman's out. So is Travis Dermott. They're going to be out probably till the end of October. Their defensemen look stronger with Riley and Ceci as their top pair. And then they have Tyson Barrie and Jake Muzzin. But I can't stress enough that Joe Sakic did not want Tyson Barrie in and I'm going to say it all year, the dressing room. The dressing room. He did not want him in the dressing room with those young, spectacular Avalanche defensemen in Makar and Girard. Why did Sakic not want him in the dressing room? Why did Colorado pay half of his salary to get him out of the dressing room? Because he's bad apple. So everyone thinking that, they got such a steal because they got Tyson Barrie, I do not agree with it all. Whom do I trust? Joe Sakic. And Joe Sakic wanted him out of the dressing room. So everyone thinking they got a steal, they didn't. They didn't get a steal for Tyson Barrie. All right. Nate Dogg says Matthews has a 4-goal game again. Nylander will shine. Don Reach says Rays had home field in their sights, lost the series to Blue Jays, sending them to Oakland. Advantage Oakland. I was leading Tampa Bay and changed. Wow, okay. All right. So I'm going to copy and paste this. All right, copy and paste this. You know, this Leafs team is going to have a ton of pressure. A ton of pressure. And I'm not sold that they're going to be able to rise up to that. I'm not sold. So we'll see as the season goes on. Senators, Leafs, totals at 6.5. I'm not making a move on it. We know Jin Rummy took the over at 6. Great work by him. And the Leafs are huge favorites, and I'm not taking that here. Says his dressing room, a subset of the locker room. No, it's hockey, man. All right. Let's move on to last two Stanley Cup champs meeting up in St. Louis. Capitals, Blues. If you're on Twitter right now, you see the Capitals is the sexy pick to make game one of the NHL season. This total opened up juiced to the under 5.5. It's now juiced to the over 5.5. St. Louis opened up minus 131. There's been a 15-cent move towards the Blues. The Blues return almost their whole championship team. They lose Pat Maroon to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Okay, cool. Yeah, hit me with that. Yeah, jimmythebag@hotmail.com. Yeah, hit me anytime. Okay, Eric Nisbat all over the A's and the under 7.5. Was that what Guru's doing? Sorry, I'm so caught up in this. Here, let me just copy and paste a couple of things here. Oh, also, sorry. We have a quick, sorry, I'm just so excited about NHL. We had a capper whom I'd never seen in our chat, and maybe I'd missed him. But Mark LaRocque gave out the Sun money line at plus 318 on the show. He told us that the Sun would win outright. I've hit 4 straight WNBA bets, cashed on that over very easily last night. Mark LaRocque gave out the Sun money line plus 318. Said they'd win outright. And for that, Mark LaRocque wins our Vegas Gun Award for excellence in capping. Graphically pop it up right there. Mark LaRocque, way to get after it. Oh, man, Don Ricci says they broke ground for the new Island Arena 2 miles from your house. So you know, I'm going to be at your house and at those games with you. You know that. Nate Dogg says Leafs are all paid now. It's put up or shut up. Antoine Seymour liking the over 5.5 with Oilers knuckleheads. And I know that that's a play endorsed by Babano as well. Did Guru make a lean my A's tonight? But if I'm being honest, best bet is under. Going to be cold mother out there in Oakland. I'll be there giving Rays batters nightmares. Heckling will be at a very high level. Oh, I love that, Guru. Okay, copy and paste from our guy. Guru Sports Bets. Copied and pasted. I love it. Guru going to be at the game. We need a video. Send us a video. All right, let's go back to this very, very exciting spot in St. Louis. Okay, so the Blues bring back their team. Patrick Maroon, the only guy gone. Joel Edmondson traded for Justin Falk, and I like that trade. So their number one line, one of the reasons why they won the Stanley Cup is it's so dynamic. Now, Schwartz had that terrible regular season, then he stepped up in the playoffs, but he's a good hockey player, and he can score. And then you have Tarasenko and Shen. And Tarasenko, electric, and Shen, I know he doesn't use his big body enough, but he is a pretty big, and he's a responsible center. This line can be better than they were last season because Schwartz was so bad. Now, will they have that Stanley Cup hangover? It's possible. It's possible. So O'Reilly, Perron, and Bozak and Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas, first round pick a few years ago, very good. So those are the main two guys in the second line and the third line. And then you have Blaze, Fabry, and Sanford competing to be on those lines. Fourth line, Sunkvist, Barbashev, and Steen is a very strong fourth line. The Capitals are getting older fast. This team does not have depth. We talk about dynamic first lines. The Capitals have an extremely dynamic first line. Ovechkin, Backstrom, Wilson. When you have the toughness of Wilson, and then you have the toughness of Ovechkin, and then you put Backstrom, soft hands in between them, it's very, very good. Multifaceted. But their second line, Vrana, Eller, and Oshie, is that a good enough second line to go to war with? Is Eller a top 6 forward? I don't know. They're dealing with this 3-game NHL suspension for Evgeny Kuznetsov. Michael Kempny is sidelined with a hamstring injury. Juice was a salary cap casualty and landed on waivers. They pick up Radko Gudas, but there was a reason why this Flyers brass didn't want Gudas, and they traded him for Niskanen. Now, Radko Gudas is a heavy, heavy hitter, and they have a lot of that. But I do not like this Capitals team. And I've decided to not make moves on the over-under market unless I want to make big bets. And I just don't feel like the risk reward is there for points over and points under. And because of that, I would probably take the Capitals under. I'm not going to do that. Carlos Pro says Capitals added Hagelin to help us. Look, your third line is strong. Your third line is pretty strong. Let's take a quick look at it right now. The third line. Now, Hagelin's very fast. He gets injured quite a bit. But Chandler, Stevenson, Richard Panik, Hagelin, I think that's a good line. Now, that third line is ranked 27th in the league out of third lines, but I think it is a little better than that. I think there's no depth behind Karlsson. Siegenthaler, Orlov, Jensen, Gudas. There's no depth. What if Karlsson gets hurt? So that said and done, I'm not going to be on the Capitals tonight. I know it's a sexy pick that a lot of great Cappers are making. But I'm going to take off. Mela Pettis White took St. Louis money line. I get that. Mr. Gokster says Panic, a nice addition. Okay, so let's keep rolling. And we got questions coming in about Minai. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that big wild card game. Trust me. So we're going to talk NHL for a little bit longer. Parlay Papi's going to come in, tell us his NHL moves. Then we're going to go to the wild card game, talk about the wild card game, hear what Papi's on, and then we're going to hear what Teddy covers on in the wild card game. Tomerl says Holtby in the contract year, we should see his best. I think Holtby's done. I think he's done. Mr. Gokster says loss of Niskanen will be felt. I agree with that. Okay, let's move on to Canucks Oilers. Here's another sexy over 5.5 that a lot of cappers are making. And I get it. But I just don't feel comfortable making hammering totals day one, week one. Another thing that I believe is that this Canucks team, what's best about this Canucks team is Jacob Markstrom. Now, he's ranked as the 29th best number one goalie, and that's just a joke. He's going to step up this year, and he's going to be very good. All right, let's talk about Canucks Oilers, and let's look at what we're dealing with the market move perspective. Canucks Oilers, this opened at 5.5, and Pinnacle's already moved it to 6. So is Bovada. So if you're advantage betting, you would take that 5.5, and you would take the over right now. Oilers open up at minus 124. Now they're at minus 125. I'm surprised they're not a bigger favorite. Canucks have won their 5 past season openers, but that's about all the winning that they've done. Both teams were bad last year. Canucks were 12th in the 15-team conference. Oilers were 14th, only ahead of the Kings. The Canucks' biggest offseason acquisition, 6'8" Tyler Myers, signed away from Winnipeg, 5-year deal worth $6 million annually. I hate that signing. I don't like that signing. It may be okay this year, maybe okay next year, but come the year 4, it's just going to be an albatross hanging around our necks. And Ski Profit in the house. Love seeing Ski ready to go. Mally Mouse says, I feel like Canucks 5-day opening win streak ends tonight. You know what? And there's my guy Max Smart in the house. Nate Dogg says Vancouver wins tonight. Look, I would take the Oilers right now. And I actually might do it. I just don't want to bet against my boys, but I might do it. I just think you're getting value with the Oilers here right now. But I don't trust this Oilers hockey team. Let's talk more about it. So, the Canucks acquire 2 top 6 forwards that they think are top 6 forwards in Ferland and JT Miller. Now, if you look at Ferland's stats and his size and his truculence, you're like, man, he's the perfect forward to play with Besser and Pedersen. But he has concussion problems. And my guess is come 82 games, win the stretch drive, he's not going to be in the lineup. He's going to be concussed. We don't have toughness. This Green Benning-led Canucks team, for some reason, doesn't respect the toughness that you need. And Ferland's injury-prone. And if you're going to take a guy who's tough, you want to know that he can stick in the lineup. JT Miller also jumps in. So we have Besser, who signed a very nice contract for the Knuckleheads. They're very happy with the Besser contract. I expect Ferland to play less than 60 games. Miller slated to be on the right wing with center Bo Horvat and Tanner Pearson. So here's another sign of how bad the Canucks are. Tanner Pearson's a waiver pickup. Any team in the NHL could have had him last year. And we picked him up off the waivers because he's a bum and he's a top 6 forward for our team. A journeyman bum. That shows you how bad this hockey team is. They will have the same problems every year, and that comes down to a lack of toughness. They waived Sven Baertschi. I think that's a good move. I'm not a Sven Baertschi fan. We have Quinn Hughes, brother of Jack Hughes. He's going to be in the Calder conversation. He's going to be a spectacular defenseman, a quarterback of our power play moving forward. Will he be ready this year? That's tough. Tyler Myers, I don't like. Alex Edler is underappreciated. He's an excellent defenseman. And if you look at our record with Edler in the lineup, we're a playoff team. This defense is good. Oilers have missed the playoffs in 12 of the past 13 years. New brain trust with Ken Holland, who's done great work in the past with the Wings. And then you got Dave Tippett, a guy that can be trusted. You have the big 3. They call the Oilers big 3. How does Nugent Hopkins get in that big 3? That it's a big 2 with McDavid and Draisaitl, who are beasts. Nugent Hopkins, easy to push off the puck. Tiny little baby shoulders. Oilers surrendered 274 goals last year, 42 more than they scored. And then they bring in Mike Smith. And I don't trust Mike Smith to share the duties with Koskinen. Smith is old. Why are the Oilers taking all the bad pieces or pieces that the Flames don't want? Team has no depth. McDavid doesn't get enough help. They're slated to open the year with Nygaard, Joakim Nygaard from the Swedish Elite League, and James Neal as his line mates. And that's bad. He's going to have to do everything himself. Nygaard comes over to the Swedish Elite League. He's never scored more than 35 goals in a season. Never scored more than 35 goals in a season. So, the Icon says, I like getting JT Miller, but can't believe we gave a first rounder away. I think we gave up too much. I agree. Eddie O says, Bo Horvat expected to be named the Canucks' new captain. Yes, and I'm fine with that. That said and done, look, there's a reason why the Oilers are minus 125. And it's because they have no depth. And I think I should just stay off this game. At this point, my only look is the Golden Knights minus 1.5. Let's bring in a ringer. Our guy, Parlay Papi, eats in NHL, eats in MLB. A perfect day for him to join us. Nate Dogg says Vancouver games goes over. Tom Reno says there will always be at least a slight premium to bet Edmonton. He says I'd lean Vancouver because they have McDavid, but I'd lean Vancouver. I get all that. Okay, let's bring in our guy, Parlay Papi, on to the show representing Long Beach, California. Parlay Papi, the NHL's back, my guy. How you doing on this Wednesday morning?
Oh, man, what a time, what a day. It's like Hanukkah morning. Actually, we do Hanukkah at night. What the hell am I talking about, Jimmy the Bag? It's gift-giving time, and I'm giving a gift to myself by making some bets on the NHL that I will buy something very nice with today, Jimmy the Bag. How we doing, my man?
I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. NHL package, bought, locked, loaded. All these games ready to go tonight. I'm very, 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 very excited. I'm excited to work with everybody this year, and I really feel like this is an opportunity for me to step up as a capper, and I hope to do that. And I love working with you. Let's get to work right now. Pie Guy said I'm worried about Fleury this season. I agree, but I'm not worried about him early. Let's hear what you think is the best spot on this card. NHL, Papi, what's your first look? Take it away.
You know what? Let's pop on this MLB game real quick. We'll touch on it. You good with that?
I would like to close with it because then we'll go into your looks on the wild card game, and that'll roll into Teddy's looks in the wild card game. So I'd like to spend about 10 minutes or so on NHL and then move to baseball.
Right on. So what do we start with? The provincial rivalry, right? This is not exactly a one-sided affair, right, Jimmy the Bag? Ottawa and Toronto, 12-4, right? 12-4, these Ottawa Senators, last 16 against Toronto. So obviously, clearly a rebuilding situation, mix of vets, young talent, many pieces of talent in that pipeline in Ottawa. DJ Smith, new coach, whatever. Good move, though, keeping Shabbat. You know, you got to have that superstar to kind of mold around, right? And, you know, arguably probably some of the worst goaltending that we have in Craig Anderson. I don't care what you got to say about him. This guy's not good and hasn't been good. But, you know, what else do you expect from this weak Senators team? Rebuilding season, not really much to buy him, but that's a weird stat. You know what I mean? They do kind of they have been punishing these Toronto Maple Leafs in this provincial little rivalry we got going. They got a pretty giant price right now. I don't even think it would be a bad look to take a sprinkle, but Toronto, obviously, you know, not just top heavy, three giant, you know, star inflated lines. What a good acquisition, in my opinion, of Barry from Colorado, despite, you know, the mild drama we had with that Marner situation and, you know, Austin Matthews acting like a idiot out there. I mean, they should get the job done here. I think this is going to be scoring, taking advantage of that weak blue line of Ottawa and, you know, vulnerable Anderson. Certainly a lean over, you know, over an 8 of the last 10. Ottawa has actually won 3 of these last 4s. I do not think it's a bad look to take a little bit of a stab on that Ottawa team. What do you think, Jimmy?
I love it. I mean, we just see time and time again, the Senators play the Leafs tough. The question is, will they play them tough in the first game of the season? Are we better off taking the Senators in game 55? Probably. But another thing that does concern me is all the stuff going on with Austin Matthews right now. So I expect him to be like lasered in, focused here to kind of get the negativity away from him. So, and then we have Marner with that giant contract, how he's going to handle all this. To me, it'd be Senators or nothing, and it's early in the year, and it's going to be nothing for me. What do you think about this total? It's gone from 6 to 6.5, Papi.
I think you still grab a 6 of minus 125. That's the way to look. Do we really think this is going to be a real tight scoring affair? I don't think so. So that's the way to look here. I think maybe if you're doing some weird hockey parlays, it's a little bit too early. Let's not get overzealous. Maybe a +1.5 with the centers or on something. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna do a pass on this one, Jimmy. We can go on the next one in Washington here.
Let's go on the next one. Capitals, Blues. Big matchup. Last two Stanley Cup winners. What are you thinking here?
Right. So I got some concerns with Washington regarding the injuries. I know Ovechkin is dealing with something, and then Lars Eller. I would need those guys because I had a little look here yesterday. I really wanted to take these Capitals. But, let's go over it real quick. Another year older, but man, just such a consistent contending team. And these Capitals always ready to play so live on the road. I imagine they're fired up to be the guys, the 28 Stanley Cup champions, coming to visit St. Louis and wreck this party that's going to go on. Concern for some of the mainstay defensemen, Niskanen moving out for Gudos and Sieghelder to get more play, right, Sieghelder? And they definitely got an improved penalty kill. That was a problem with them last year with that, what's his name, Carl Flanagan. Is that right, Jimmy?
No.
Hanniglin?
No, it's not right. It's not right, but keep rolling. Keep rolling.
You know what? These northern Finnish, Swedish countries, I just don't even know what the fuck I'm looking at. Anyways.
It's haggling. It's haggling. It's all good. You're rolling.
Yeah. What are you doing, Jimmy? Hope hit or miss guy at the end of the day. But I would expect this Washington Capitals team to be absolutely fired up to get something done. St. Louis, I think they're still reeling. That was such a gritty, grisly, spectacular Stanley Cup performance, taking nothing away from them. Binnington, just an absolute catalyst to this entire system franchise in St. Louis. I think it's going to be really tough to repeat that type of performance, to be honest. I think you're going to see regression in him, but he is absolutely going to be a top 5 goaltender this year. Mark my words there. Who left in the Blues? Maroon, right, and Edmondson, but they got Falk, right, from the Hurricanes. Not really huge movement on that team besides those 3 little trade-offs there. But, man, I don't know how they're going to do here after going and playing hockey so aggressively for like 6 months since January and then 8 months through the start of the season. I think it's a good time to get on these Capitals at this +125, but I'm not going to do anything until I see Ovechkin and Eller in that lineup, Jimmy the Bag, today.
Ovechkin's going to be in the lineup. It's almost, we don't have it 100%, but he has said that he's going to be in the lineup. Eller, I do expect Eller to be in the lineup as well, but what do you think Eller's a top 6 forward in the NHL?
No.
I think they're going to have problems. I think the Capitals have no depth. And I think they're going to have problems this year. The more I say it, the more I want to take a look at this under. Let's go quickly to what their season total under is. Here we go. Regular season points for the Capitals. You're getting 97.5. I would take the under on that. But I just don't see the risk reward in those bets anymore, really. Noli No says, what about Washington, St. Louis under in the game? We're talking about a 5.5, and my concern is
tough. That's tough, I think, in this first state, just to get on sides. Everyone's fired up. This is going to be a weird situation. I don't think it's a good idea to jump specifically in the totals. And what I really angle on is these team totals in NHL, and including MLB too. I think it's a little bit, let's take a week to kind of see how things play out with these new lines. These guys are adjusting. Maybe some of them have new coaches. I would kind of lean off a side, but I definitely think if I read some good quotes from Ovechkin and Eller, I do want to take this side here, Jimmy.
If I had a free play to make on the total, I'd be on the under. I'd be on the under 5.5 in this spot, but I'm not going to do that. I agree with that mentality. I think this is going to be a very tight affair. I think there's the Blues aren't going to want to give space to Ovechkin. They're not going to want to get on. They don't want to allow the Caps on the power play. Melee play this way on Blues money line. Anders Larson says Caps Blues was just to type Jimmy to take the under. I see a 2-1, 3-1 game. Yeah, I agree with that. Anders Larson, I do, but I'm not. So in my records this year, we're gonna break it down to another level, just so we can know exactly what we're succeeding with. So puck lines, money lines, overs, and unders are all going to be separated, although we will still have an overall record. But I really want to know where we are eating and what's holding us back. So everything's going to be broken down this year. Dennis Garcia says more likely to have a Stanley Cup hangover, St. Louis or Boston. I would say Boston. I'd say Boston really got gutted. Not roster-wise, but just losing in 7 games. All right, let's move on to Canucks Oilers. My boys have hope, and they have no toughness. And they have a good defense, and they're healthy right now. And the Oilers have no depth whatsoever. What's your look on Canucks Oilers, Parlay Papi?
Yeah, I mean, interesting team, right? They finished, in 26th in goals scored last year. Led by Travis Green. That's good with this young core. Ferland and Miller for more offense. Peterson, amazing. Brock Besser. He's going to play, I think. That guy got a concussion, I believe, in the first preseason. I saw him listed to play.
Yeah, he's good.
Man, he's a star. 29 goals, 29 assists in rookie season, following it up with another 60 points last season, whatever it was. I mean, the question is durability at the end of the day with these young guys and the depth they have. I'm not so sure about all that. But I'm excited to watch, and you got a serviceable guy in Markstrom, and we like guys in the NHL, right, when we're going on the road or at home who have – it's kind of like a pitcher. You like to see consistency in their splits so we can kind of have an expectation of what to usually expect from them. So on the Oilers, on the other hand, who'd they get as a coach? That guy from the Coyotes, I believe.
Tippett.
And Tippett. So – the Oilers still lack depth, but at the same time, they got a bunch of mishmash of old guys, young guys. They got a lot of guys in the pipeline. So I think maybe the future with this team, with this guy who can mold, he can kind of shift this franchise into something being better than what it is. Besides these fucking 3 guys, Connor, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Klefbom, and it's just them. You know what I mean? Who else is over there? Another guy, I forgot his name, but. I don't think that there's much here that I like with Koskinen in goal and, with the Canucks looking like vicious scoring. We saw them in that preseason. That was pretty eye-opening. A bit lackadaisical on defense, but man, they were a terror on the NHL preseason. I definitely would lean it under, but I actually lean the Canucks here more so than anything to get in there in Edmonton and not, and do work. Who cares if we're giving Connor McDavid and company the minus favorite price, which we should in Edmonton for their opener. But I think the Vancouver Canucks are the much more talented team. The guys with a lot more speed and as of recent, it looks like they're actually firing coming from the team that was 26 in goals scored last year, Jimmy the Bag.
I watch this team very closely, and Pettersson gets beaten down. He gets beaten down, and then the last 20 games.
Durability, right?
Sorry?
Durability with the younger guys, right?
It's concerning.
We saw that later on in the season.
And then we have Besser, who's injury prone as well. Right now, they're healthy and good, but Ferland, I worry about him. We're asking for too much physicality from him, and he's a guy who deals with concussions. I'm very uncomfortable. Tease in the house says, hockey season back. I'm so happy today. And Raymond Reichart, we are going to work together as a team and take care of business together as a team. I get what you're saying. I think of all the games, I think that this one has the most volatility, and I'm comfortably going to watch and study. Let's see if we can talk about the Sharks Knights game pretty quick because I want to give us time to talk baseball. So Sharks Knights, my only bet on the card. I'm on the Knights -1.5 plus 170. I broke it down quite deeply already earlier on this show, but my main thing in this spot is no Evander Kane and no Pavelski. And if you take Evander Kane out of this lineup, and no Donskoy too, but if you take Evander Kane out of this lineup, who's gonna be tough enough when Ryan Reeves is in their face? Because Kane's the guy who fights Ryan Reeves, and Kane's been suspended. Yeah. Kane gives them that swagger, and he's not there for the first 3 games. I think Knights roll. I'm very excited about this game. I got Knights -1.5. I got plus 170 on the show, plus 160 when I bet it. Parlay Papi, Sharks Knights.
Damn, you got the plus buck on the first play, Jimmy. I love it. That's how you're making the big bucks last year, I believe. That's your thing, man, and you understand the spots. I love it. I love the -1.5. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative because I think I will have 2 plays on the card with the Capitals and this one here. 60-minute regulation line, -104 with the Knights. I don't see how they don't get it done. Just like you said, don't need to break this thing down again. We're gonna back Fleury in the beginning of the season and absolutely fade them once these Knights are up and about, getting giant prices, and get those plus underdog bucks. You know what I'm saying, Jimmy?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I agree. I just agree completely. And wait, we're going to be sitting here 20 games in a year, and Pacioretty and Stastny will already be on the shelf. And then we'll see how good this team is. I tell you what, I wouldn't have paid Stone that money, and I don't want Pacioretty and Stastny on my hockey team. Now, paying $23 million to a second line, I think, is just ludicrous. So we will see. Now, the Knights are a really good hockey team, but I see them coming back to earth instead of dominating, and we will see. We will see. I came close to making futures on them, and I talked myself out of it with study. We will see. So that's it. So your two looks are Knights in 60 minutes, and the
Capitals. Hey, we gotta see if that Ovechkin thing is of factual information, and I'm on it. I'm on the Caps.
I love it. Okay. Let's do it. So those are Poppy's two plays. I'm on the Knights -1.5, and I am pumped. The icon says I have Knights winning the cup. Well, if I was going to make a Knights to win the cup bet, I would wait till the start of the playoffs. I would need to know that Stastny and Pacioretty are healthy. But I feel you. All right, let's go into MLB Wild Card action here. Rays, A's. I'm surprised that our guy Guru says it's going to be cold out there, because I saw 68 Fahrenheit and I was like, wow, that's a little warmer than I was expecting. 9 miles per hour out to right center. Let's see what we're getting. Market moves here. A's opened up at -137. They're now at -131. This total opened up at 8. Not there anymore. And now 7.5s on the board. Morton versus Manaea. Morton 16-6, 3.05 ERA, 1.08 WHIP. Morton has not been great on the road. 7.52 ERA in his last 5 starts, but he has a 1.65 ERA in 3 starts at Oakland, and he's never won at Oakland. He has postseason experience, but he hasn't been that good there either. 2-2, 4.60 ERA. He's dominated the A's this season. 1-0, 0.68 ERA in 2 starts. The only run allowed to the A's in 13 1/3 came in his only Oakland start. He worked 6 1/3, left that game 1-1. And then we go to this spot here with Manaea. Now, fires again bypassed to start the wild card game. What's that going to do in the clubhouse? I don't know. Rays are hitting 255, 748 OPS versus lefties. A's are hitting 244, 762 OPS versus righties. Both teams finished the season strong. Tampa Bay going 20-6 before losing its last 2 games. That second to last game they should not have lost. They needed to win that game, and then the last game became meaningless. Oakland went 18-6 before dropping their last insignificant game as well against Seattle. Manaea, one of the top pitchers in September, comes back from a torn labrum, out nearly 12 months. Unbeaten, wins both his home starts, 2.13 ERA there. I mean, he just looked very good. 4-0, 1.21 ERA, 0.78 WHIP. He looks like he's ready to go. No postseason experience, faced the Rays 3 times, and the Rays jumped on him in 2018, but he's got good numbers against them overall. Parlay Papi, I've yet to make a move on this game. Wild card game, Rays, A's, take it away.
Right, I mean, just look at yesterday. I feel like we kind of completely wrote the book on what was going to happen. I did take a little shot on no score in the first, by the way. Of course, that fucking got wrecked by Mr. Scherzer himself. We saw what was going to happen. One small defensive error by Grisham. Weird bounce, whatever you want to call it, costs the entire game after we knew that Scherzer was extremely vulnerable. What is the reason? Everything is contending on these home run plays, right? It's like that's it, and it's been that way for a few years in the postseason. That being said alone, Charlie Morton is not a guy who is getting more home runs this year. Do I want to back Charlie Morton? Absolutely not. The price is very appealing. I see Charlie Morton in the postseason. I see him on the road in the postseason. In 2017, the year of the Astros, pitched 12 innings, 15 hits, 10 earned runs, striking 13 out away from home. He's still a strikeout pitcher. Gets way too much contact. We know he's vulnerable on the road with contact as it is. 2018 Morton, right? 2.1 innings pitched, 2 strikeouts, 3 earned runs. The last 5 games, he's given up at least 3 runs on the road, not going over 6 innings pitched. I don't buy it. Manaea, on the other hand, unproven. He did get lit by these Rays last year, I believe. He is a prime candidate to be regressed. You know what I mean? This is not, it's not in cohesion with what the type of pitcher Sean Manaea is. He is not this elite guy, and that's indicated in all his metrics. He is a regression candidate. I don't trust him. I don't trust Charlie Morton, and I don't trust his Rays offense either. They finished the season with the 102 weighted runs created plus, very average. Still striking out 24% of the time, not great. And this Oakland offense can be pretty spotty at times. And check this out. The only guys who actually hit Charlie Morton are the lefties. We know that Charlie Morton has significant disadvantages against lefties, especially lefties on the road. The guys who are hitting him, Matt Olson, who has a home run, and a home run leader on the Oakland A's. Profar, switch hitter, not doing that much, but he has hit Mr. Charlie Morton, and Simeon has hit him as well, having the best month that he has in September. It makes me lean towards the Oakland side, but man, that bullpen is a little bit sketchy to me. Despite those numbers, I'm watching those games. It seems a little bit too close for me. Tampa Bay bullpen much better. I don't know what's going to happen with Charlie Morton. I don't know what's going to happen with Manaea. This is another one of these games that I really am not interested in trying to do a coin flip to see who's going to win. And the price is probably where it should be. You know what I mean? I don't know if Charlie Morton should be closer to a pick'em price when he is so volatile, and judged by the market and how they're making that odds market line, right? So I don't know what to do here, Jimmy the Bag. I think it's a big pass.
I get it. Day Junior Smiles says Oakland A's win tonight, 3-unit bet, Jimmy. I would take the A's, but I am concerned about how Kevin Cash can handle these Rays. He just does such a good job with them, and they just grind and grind and grind, and their bullpen is strong. And the A's offense has slipped, as you said. It's just slipped, and I'm with you. I'm a little uncomfortable making a move here. Dan Kelly says Manaea was supposed to miss the entire 2019 season. He's pitching healthier than ever, rested, and thankful. Eric Nisbet says A's. Yeah, I mean, what is your expectation of Morton here? Like, what do you think his line is at the end of the day?
More strikeouts than usual. I think he gets more contact and walks more batters. I think that the A's are probably live in the first 5. I think the A's bullpen will probably shut down, but I don't think Morton's going to have an amazing game here at all. Just indicated by what the recent trends are saying about him. You know what I mean? 3 earned runs, multiple walks, not going over this 6 innings in the last 5 road games that he has. Not a good away starter. In fact, a pretty poor, terrible away starter if you're looking at everything here. I don't think he has a great game. And with Manaea, those numbers, I don't trust him at all in that pitching department, looking back in the past couple of years here.
Anil Frank says, I trust Morton as a dog much more than Manaea with the price close to -140. Stephen Mraz on under. Mally Mouse says this game's going over. Nutflush Allen says, if you want to bet baseball, wait for the real playoffs, not one-game series.
Exactly. I love that mantra. Just because it's on TV does not mean we have to bet it, Jimmy the Bag.
Well, I have no move on it now. Dom Ricci says, as you are such a big part of this show and a big regular, that we should give records for you as well. And I agree with that. So why don't you just on Twitter send me your action and the juice, and I will take care of everything. I'll set up a spreadsheet for you, and I will take care of your numbers.
On my spreadsheet on my Twitter, you can see absolutely every single thing that I've ever bet since January 1st. You can see the line. You can see what my average line is, what my actual profit is in cash bucks.
Yeah, you're right.
If you want one for the show, we can absolutely do that as well. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, but you're right. All his transparency is right there on his Twitter. It's his pinned tweet.
First thing you shall see.
Yeah, I love that. Steve Zhang, loving your eyebrows. And Alex Ramirez has been asking every time you come on about your trophies in the background. So I know we got to run, but do you want to give him a little bit of love and explain a couple of those trophies?
Yeah, these one of these is actually a 5-star Uber rating that I got as a passenger. One is grandma's favorite grandson. Jimmy, I actually make these trophies. I've accomplished nothing related to fitness or competition in my life. These are just here kind of to make me look cool. You know what I mean, Jimmy?
I love it. Nutfly Silent wants to know the over-under on White Claws. I love it. There he is, Parlay Papi in the house. Papi will be on this show every Tuesday and Wednesday morning, and I love capping NHL with him, as well as MLB. We got playoffs here and NHL starting today. Parlay Papi, can you let everybody know where they can follow you on Twitter?
Always find me at Poppy_parlay. What an exciting time to be a sports bettor. So much action going on. Can't wait to see some of our guys coming back from the grave to get on the college basketball and NBA train. So exciting. Can't wait to get onto this NHL cash buck train. Jimmy the Bag. Great bets. And I will see you guys next week on the morning show. So peace out. See you later. Bye-bye.
Much love, Poppy. And I feel you, Dom. We'll have his numbers. We'll have it. I'll start putting them up. I do have to take care of a lot of people's records, and it is painstaking. But it's important to the show, and I will be happy to do it. There we go. There's Parlay Papi. We go from Parlay Papi to Teddy Covers. What a show this is on Wednesday morning. Teddy Covers coming to us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Teddy Covers, how you doing on this Wednesday morning, my man?
I'm doing great. Love to see you in the hockey garb, buddy. You ready for hockey season?
Oh, I'm pumped. I'm extremely pumped, man. I got my NHL package ready to go, and I will be watching hockey nonstop for the next 7 or 8 months. And we've had very, very successful years here on the show. Hit 2 years ago, my first year down here, we hit a high water mark of plus 43 units. I got hurt in the playoffs and ended up about 27 units up in the season, and my futures took me back. And then last year, we hit a high water mark of plus 32 units in the last day of the season, and then my futures were bad. I lost 10.5 units in futures, so I ended up plus 24. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe plus 24 units. So we've been very successful in NHL. And it helps because I can't say that about every sport. So it helps very, very much. Teddy Covers, giant wild card game tonight. Rays, A's, Morton, Mania. Everybody wants to know if you've got a move on it. Do you have a play?
So I haven't bet the game. If I was going to bet the game, I would have to take the plus price with Tampa because this grades out pretty close to a pick 'em to me. And it really does. And I anticipate a game a lot like we saw last night, where, one key hit or one key error or one key pitch or one key at bat going to make all the difference between winning and losing. And in those type of games, I'm not excited about laying a price with the favorite. So, Oakland deserves to be favored. Manet at home, obviously, is dynamite. But, the A's have the fourth best home record. The Rays have the fourth best home record. The Rays have the second best road record. Morton's a pitcher that I trust in these spots. Tampa's bullpen's been there all year. I think Tampa's a live dog tonight. And again, in a pick-em game, if you're getting a plus price, not even from a coin flip. Someone's going to give you, the 11 every time you bet 10 on a coin flip. You'll do it forever. That's the way I look at tonight's game. I'm getting a plus price in an even game. So I could only look at the Tampa side.
I get it. Morton's last 5 starts on the road, he had a 7.52 ERA, but he's been exceptional against the A's this year. He has postseason experience, but he hasn't fared that well, although he was on the mound when they won the World Series in Houston. Closed out that game, didn't start that game. What do you think about
Let me jump in real quick, Jimmy.
Sure.
Because that 7.52 ERA in his last 5 road starts is a little bit misleading. He had one really bad start, and and that's why he has a 7. I think there was that in Houston. He had one really ugly start where he just got bombed. But that's affecting that, and that's why, again, when you look at the aggregate numbers, it's not going to give you a clear picture. Charlie Morton's not a 7.52 ERA pitcher.
No, that's a great point.
I mean?
That's a great point and very, very important to state. And he's been so good against Oakland this year. And if you're going to play the Oakland A's, you want a righty on the mound. You don't want a lefty on the mound. Kevin Cash has done superb work with this Rays club. As the game goes on, like if this game is 2-2 after the 6th, you have to think the Rays got to be favored to win this game with how they use their bench, how they use their relief corps. Is this what do you think about both offenses being so quiet of late? Does that lead you to move towards an under?
It's hard to bet overs in MLB postseason. We saw that last night. All of a sudden, every at-bat gets magnified, every pitch gets magnified, and it's a whole different ballgame when it comes to putting runs across home plate. Each run is that much more difficult in the postseason. I don't do a lot, especially early on with overs. When you talk about the transition from the regular season to the postseason, and the totals all go down, and they deserve to go down because there's no meaningless runs, and they don't leave a pitcher in for an extra batter. So I don't play a lot of overs. It would be under or pass for me.
Under or pass. G-Saw says, what do you think of me putting money on the Nats to win the World Series at 16-1? And then he says, don't you have to take a wild card when it comes to value? We know that you like the wild card in the AL. You didn't talk much about the wild card in the NL because you like the Dodgers so much. Do you think there's value at 16-1 with the Nats?
Some value, yeah, I guess. I mean, if you bet Washington over the summer, you got 50 to 1 or 80 to 1 or something. So you say, yeah, now there's 16 to 1 is value, I guess. I don't think the Nats are going to get past the Dodgers. So it's not a bet that I'm going to make. And it's not max value. Max value came when Washington was stuttering in June and July. Is there some value there? Maybe. They'll be big. I mean, the Nats are going to be pretty big dogs. If they get past, I don't know, they'll be dogs against LA. Obviously. Do we have a series price on that?
Yeah, let me see if I got one here. I'll pull it up right now. Got the hockey futures up. I'll pull it up right now. Here we go. Futures to win series. And here we go. Yes, Nationals are plus 200 to win the series.
Yeah, exactly. So they're plus 200 here. They'll be dogs again if they get past the Dodgers. And then they'll be dogs again, assuming that they face the Astros or the Yankees in the World Series. So if you take your 2 to 1 and pump it up again next round and pump it up again next round, I think they'll get comparable results. And it gives you the opportunity to do what you want in any given series, as opposed to having to hold that 16 to 1 to wait. Again, it's not a bad bet. The Nationals are as live as any team. They got the pitching. They have the starting pitching. They got the lineup. I mean, they have postseason experience. I mean, Washington is a team that can make some noise. But the time to bet them was 2 months ago. So they're coming a little bit late to the party.
I agree, and they won 19 of their first 50 games. If you had the balls to do it then, you got a huge number. Were you surprised that Michaelis is getting the start tomorrow over Flaherty?
I'm not surprised by what St. Louis does. I mean, that's what St. Louis is a heavily analytic organization, and they will make their decisions based on what the computers say to make, and the manager buys in, and so on. No, I'm not shocked. And again, that's not a winner take all. That's a series, so it's a very different nuance than these 2 wild card games. Last night and tonight.
Not Flush Allen says G-Sauce, talking about our guy G-Sauce, who was wondering if the Nats were the look, says he got him at 50 to 1 and rebetted at 40 to 1. And Not Flush Allen says I will be attending church the next few weeks. That's very exciting. Dan Kelly says this: please remember, Oakland Alameda Coliseum has some severe shadows at today's start time. It's going to be sunny, and the hitters will see the ball going through the shadows. This is key. God, love that. Dan Kelly back in the house. Yu Chang Yu says, I like Oakland's lineup a lot more. Can't see Tampa scoring. Black Road fading St. Louis. Guru Sportsbet says Corbin will. I agree, but he can't start more than 2. Talking about Corbin being a big piece against the Dodgers. All right, there we go. And Jay Peach talking about Mattress Mac, a legend in Houston. Yeah, it's been this wild stuff. He did get $3.5 million bet to cover his liability, because everybody gets like the mattresses for free if the Astros win the World Series. Great story there.
Let me talk about that for a second, Jimmy,
sure,
because that's such a key issue. All right. When there's one person who is literally influencing the entire global betting markets, don't make no mistake about it. When someone's putting, $5 million, how much did he put down? I mean, $1 million here and $2 million there. The guy's putting down multiple millions of dollars in a future market. That's enough to affect one person, has affected the broader marketplace in Major League Baseball right now when it comes to who's going to win it all. And that means Astros futures are, you can't, the liability for Astros futures is such that if you haven't bet Houston already, it's difficult to bet Houston now. You've lost the best of it. And there may be some value on some other teams because this one guy has gone out and made all these huge bets. It's a unique situation where one person literally has influenced a global marketplace. It's happening right here.
Yeah, it's a wild story. And the more attention we get to sports gambling, the better. So I love it. I love that it's happening. Let's get into football. Teddy covers. We've been doing a lot of work. We had DJ Big Boss come on yesterday and give us his looks from the Mountain West. Out of curiosity, I know that you locked in plays early in the week, and then around Wednesday is a huge time of study for you. Do you have more looks, or is this a spot where I should be pitching you what our cappers in the chat, what our cappers who join us on the show are liking?
Oh, no, we got a whole short list right here for you, buddy. Tuesday's college football day. Week in, week out, I spend my Tuesdays, that's what I do. So at the end of Tuesday, I got a short list. I'm comfortable. I've gone through just about every game, at least somewhat, and I've gone through local papers on a lot. So I'm happy to give you my takes. I'm happy to answer your takes, whatever you want. Wherever you want to go, Jimmy.
Beautiful.
I'll go with you. It's all good.
I love it.
Because usually we say my takes for the Friday show when this is what I locked in on and what's down on. But I'm happy to give you my short list right now. What I'm thinking about and considering, stuff that I bet already, stuff that I'm thinking about betting, et cetera, et cetera.
This works out perfectly. Absolutely perfect. Jay McGrath, first question, and you know what? We already know this was Teddy's first look of the week. So Jay McGrath says, can you please ask Teddy about Troy, Missouri over 65.5? It was your very first look that he gave us on the show. Are you still liking it?
Yeah, we've seen some under money, and it surprised me a little bit. I think that there's some concerns in the market as to whether Troy's going to be able to score against this defense. And if they can't, obviously, Missouri will get theirs and the Tigers will cover and the game will stay under. But I think Troy's good enough offensively to move the ball, even against an SEC defense. And I see this game as being a really up-tempo affair. And as long as Missouri's interested, and I think they are, they should get into the 40s here, maybe more than that. I still like that over a fair bit, even though the markets have moved the other way. And I'm surprised by the market move the other way. I didn't see that one coming.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you. But it's not been too big of a move, and it was the first look that you liked on your card. I get it. Okay, let's talk about Drew Martin and his additions, and let's also talk about Big Boss. Big Boss like two spots very, very much. We've already talked about San Jose State quite a bit on this show, but his two looks in the Mountain West, where he does it best, are San Jose State and San Diego State. Both of those looks. I'm going to pull up the numbers here. Sorry, I got a little behind here with my, where is it? Sorry. Here we go. San Diego State. Let's start there because we've already talked quite a bit about San Jose State. One concern for people backing San Jose State is it looks like there's more money that's come in on San Jose State than New Mexico, and yet this line's gone from 7 to 6.5. Is that enough to scare somebody off this bet?
Okay, so I don't know where this whole reverse line movement thing came from that recreational bettors seem to be very concerned with in the modern era. You can find better things to be concerned about than that. All right. Because there's no relationship whatsoever between what the public thinks about a game and where the point spread goes. None whatsoever. Maybe the Super Bowl. In college football, the public's going to do what the public's going to do. The lines, and college basketball, doesn't matter what sport it is. The lines are going to be 100% focused on taking wise guy money because they know the public's going to give it back. They're not afraid if the public has a big weekend because they'll be back in there next weekend making negative expectation wagers and et cetera, et cetera. They don't want to give the wise guys money because the wise guys don't give it back the same way. So every line you see is based on sharp money, sharp action. Where the big bet's going to go, where the limit bet's going to go. So when we see the public like one side and the sharps, and again, we're not talking about a huge move. It might have been one bet, or one group that said, all right, well, no, it can't be laying 7. 7's our buy price. And the markets move down and the consensus numbers are sky high. You say, oh, reverse line movement. It's a whole big deal. Oh, the wise guys love it. You're chasing at ghosts. You're chasing at shadows. It's not a realistic way to try to win college football. The way to try to win college football is you break down these teams this year and say which team can beat the other team and by how much can they win. And are they focused? Is the energy there? What's the injury situation, et cetera, et cetera. So the two games you're talking about, San Jose, and look, if I'm playing the San Jose game, I can only lay. So I'm not going to try to talk anyone out of San Jose. It's just such a change of roles for the Spartans that I'm not convinced that that's a team that knows how to win a game by more than a touchdown. You know what I mean? Can they close it out? But that's the only way I could look in that game. The other one, I like the other side. I'm not ready to lay 7.5 with San Diego State on the road. I don't trust that offense to put up points in bunches. And all Colorado State's done is hang tough. They hung tough again last week against Utah State. The backup quarterback, Colin Hill was obviously someone that came in highly touted. The backup is pretty good last week too. So I'm not overly concerned about the QB drop off there. The Aztecs coming off a bye, which is usually a good spot. You want a team coming off a bye, especially, you're talking about October buys. They're very meaningful in the betting markets. And I think that's why we've seen the San Diego State money. And if you like the Aztecs, I hope you bet them before it got to 7.5. There were, 6.5 and 7s available. But at the current price, I look at Colorado State plus before I look at San Diego State minus. I think the Rams have the potential to be live dogs this weekend.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, I like that breakdown, and it'll probably keep me off. Okay, we have a lot of looks coming in, a lot of questions coming in. Feel free to keep hammering questions at us. Yesterday, Drew Martin gave us 4 looks. 4 looks. So if any of these jump out at you as something you'd like, let me know. He gave us Auburn at -3. He gave us the UMass FIU over. He gave us the Memphis, Louisiana, Monroe over, and he gave us Tulane -3. Do any of those looks jump out at you as a real nice spot?
I like the first 3. I don't like the last one. That Memphis over makes a ton of sense. I thought that number came low, and I'm actually was investigating yesterday to figure out why it came low, and I couldn't find anything. So that's one that stands out to me that interests me a fair bit. I think I think Memphis will get theirs, and Louisiana Monroe, we've seen enough offense out of them. And it's a weird game, and that's probably my biggest concern is like these aren't teams that play. They played once 2 years ago. There's no rivalry there. It's not a conference affair. It's and that sometimes worries me with the overs, like the Missouri-Troy over. But it's not a game I want an under. I'll put it that way. He talked about the FIU line. Yeah, the FIU UMass line. So remember, I was like this when we were talking about this. I think it was on Monday, and I'm like, this is one of the bigger differentials I have between my powering number and the market number, and I got to figure it out why. Well, I went back and looked, did a little work on it. FIU scored 63 on them last year. They scored 63 on them the year before. There's a speed differential there that was not reflected in my powering number. And I wouldn't be surprised if, and both those games flew over the total. That's another one that makes a ton of sense. Auburn against Florida is one that I agree with. Look, this is just the eye test, okay? Throw out every stat you want to throw out. The eye test. We've watched these teams enough. Auburn's better than Florida, flat out. Both sides of the ball. -3 is reasonable. Again, and Auburn, for a team that's 5-0 against the spread, there's a handful of them. SMU's got a pretty big betting bandwagon right now. As every SMU game, there's SMU. Auburn doesn't have that same level of betting bandwagon yet, despite their good ATS start. And again, I don't know the price. I'm not convinced I'm going to lay the field goal there. The price isn't necessarily right. I'm not getting max value with Auburn, but it's a really good team. They should dominate the line of scrimmage in this ball game. They're better than Florida, and I think they'll beat them. So for whatever that's worth. The last one was the one that I disagreed with. What was it?
Tulane.
Was it Tulane?
Yeah.
Is that the one he was talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to bet Tulane here. I mean, obviously, I like Army. That's another take that we talked about on Monday morning. Tulane probably has a little bit of a speed edge. That does concern me here. But when you're talking about a team that's familiar with what the other team wants to run, Army knows what Willie Fritz wants to do here. And when you're talking about this cadet squad in a position where they're not, I mean, what we've seen enough from Army, they can hang with anybody. I'm not sold. I think there's a little bit more hype here of Tulane than warranted, and I think this point spread is a little bit too high. So Army or pass for me. It's only one of Drew's that I disagree with.
I like that. That's great. Okay, we have tons of questions coming in, so I'm going to hit you with some questions for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll look at what your short list is because we love hearing about that. Okay, Matt Randall, college football play for him. Arkansas State, Georgia State under. He says, as this total keeps rising, I love the under. Each game at Georgia State has gone under. Georgia State 0-5 versus Arkansas State. They will want to snap that. Georgia State will try to control the clock, pound it on the ground. Focus will be shutting down Bayless. Under. What do you think of Matt Randall's take?
I wouldn't talk him out of it. It's not something I'm going to play because it's two teams that want to play at the opposite pace. Georgia Southern wants to slow this game down. Absolutely. Keep their Red Wolves offense off the field. The Red Wolves can score points in bunches, man. And because Georgia State's because they're 0-5, Georgia Southern is 0-5 against Arkansas State doesn't mean that they're going to win this one. They might want to, but I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to play it at their pace. So it's not a total that I'm getting involved with. Good luck.
We have a ton of questions coming in. Yes, I got you, Koji, but there's a few questions ahead of you. First off, Sue's 387, whom we love dearly in Hawaii, says, hey, Jimmy, did you guys do SMU Tulsa already. I just had it up on my screen and then I moved it off. Let me get to it right now. SMU, Tulsa. SMU now ranked 24th in the nation. Rotation number 353, 354. SMU opening at -13. It stayed there. For some reason, BetOnline's moved that to 11.5. I'll have to double check to make sure that's right, because everywhere else is 13. Strange that they would move it to 11.5. The total's at 62, and it stayed there as well. Tulsa, SMU, Teddy covers.
Yeah, and every once in a while, I mean, look, the SBR odds product is tremendous, and you guys should be looking at that all. I mean, literally, that's a window that should be open on your computer all day, every day. But every once in a while, you have a feed, a line feed from one book that's short or that's slow or something, and it doesn't move. I wouldn't think that BOL is a 1.5 off market right now. It could be, but I'm telling you that SBR odds page is something that it's not something to bookmark. It's something to have open all day, and that gives you gets you thinking about the games, gets you seeing what's getting popped and all of that. So we just talked about SMU as being a pretty strong bandwagon team. And teams like the Mustangs, they can, what are they, 5-0 ATS now? If you ask me how they're going to close out the season, what do they got? They got 7 more regular season games, 4-3 ATS, 3-4 ATS. This isn't a team that's going to cover every point spread throughout. Off another resounding win last week. They're not a team I have a whole lot of interest in stepping in front of. And Tulsa is not good enough offensively to trade points with SMU. But Tulsa's defense is pretty good. I mean, good enough that I'm like, all right, I'm not going to lay this with SMU this week. Good. I don't know that Tulsa's defense is built to shut down SMU. I don't know if they can stop 5 wides with speed. But I've seen Tulsa's defense a couple of times already this season where they've impressed. Even the Oklahoma State game, they impressed me. In the backfield, which you're not expecting. So it's not like SMU's faced a ton of good defenses yet. If you've been riding SMU, they're a team you ride. You ride them till they die. But if you're talking about jumping on and die, meaning fail to cover a point spread, not actually die, not the death of the SMU program. But you ride them until you say, all right, the market conditions are such that I no longer want to ride this team. But to jump on, one of the things, again, it's just like with all, you don't want to jump on a team, in my opinion, after they've won and covered their first 5 games and everyone's already paying attention to them. You want those under the radar teams that nobody's paying attention to. So I can understand the SMU bet. I wouldn't talk you out of it. It's not going to make my card. It's not even close.
Interesting breakdown. Love it. We have rotation number 349, 350, California, Oregon. Our guy, Bookie Lover Q, liking Cal plus the points. And then people in the chat not agreeing, some agreeing. Guru says Cal put all their eggs in one basket with their quarterback situation. I've seen the wide receiver throw the ball better than this guy. Black Rogue says Cal was the right side last week. And then our Mally Mal says fade Cal. Cal are frauds. What do you think of Cal plus the points?
So it's a fascinating game. It really is. I'm going to see one. There was something I wanted to. Oh yeah, 42. That's what Cal gave up to Oregon last year. And it was the most points they gave up all year. It was really their defense had the most problems with Oregon than they had with anybody. 42-24 last year was, I believe, the final score. Oregon winning and covering. Cal's backup quarterback, what's his name? Modesto? I'm spacing on his name right now. Anyhow, the guy's a stiff. We saw last week after Garbers got hurt how the coaching staff for Cal adjusted the game plan. We saw them not trusting him. And then when he had to throw, we saw why they didn't trust him. He's not a QB that I trust to do anything. And I don't trust Cal's defense to shut down Oregon. If Oregon gets rolling here, this is going to get real ugly for the Bears. For me, it's Ducks or pass, even in this inflated point spread range. Look at the total. The total's 46 in an Oregon game. Oregon might get there by themselves. Ducks.
Wow. Okay, so do you think that then the over is in play?
I don't trust Cal to score. So I think that of the two, if I have a choice between side or total, I take the side because I think Oregon will get in the 20s. They'll get there. Maybe in the 30s. They got in the 40s last year against Cal. And I don't know that Cal, points are going to be hard to come by for the Cal Bears moving forward.
Koji Kimura, our guy Koji Kimura wants to know about this spot here. with rotation number 367, 368. Western Michigan, Toledo. Toledo opening up at -4, being a big move towards Western Michigan. 3 points. So Toledo just a 1-point favorite at Pinnacle. And he says, can you ask Teddy about Toledo? I've liked what I've seen, and I don't get the line movement.
There's a lot of respect for Western Michigan in the betting markets. We saw a little bit of Western Michigan money last week, and that was a misleading final score against Central. Western was in control of that game, and their offensive line was the dominant unit on the field. It really was. Central Michigan strong up front. That's the strength. They held Miami to 17 the previous week, and were in the backfield on play after play after play, and that didn't happen against Western. And the announcers watching the broadcast were like, Western Michigan's offensive line is clearly better than Miami, Florida's offensive line. So misleading final score. I thought Western showed really well for themselves last week, and I would not argue with them as a dog at Toledo.
Let's go over to this Rutgers, Maryland spot. I don't have here we go. 329, 330. This total opened up at 54, and it's all over the place. 55.5, 56. There's a 57 at Bet365 and Bookmaker. The Icon likes this over in Rutgers, Maryland. What do you think?
I have no idea what to do with the total. I really don't. Rutgers is not a good offensive team, and everyone knows that, obviously. Rutgers has a couple of playmakers. Blackshear with the running back. They have a couple guys who, when they get the ball in space, can take it to the house, even against a defense like Maryland. But this team moving the ball steadily down the field for 80 yards into the end zone doesn't happen a whole lot. That's not the way the Scarlet Knights are built. Their offensive line is weak. But they do have a handful of skill. Again, a little bit of skill position talent that can score against Maryland. But I don't know what to do with the Terps right here. This is a team, the first 2 weeks of the season, you're like, wow, maybe Maryland is real. And in the last 2 weeks, the last two games, they lose to Temple and then have the ultimate no-show against Penn State. I don't know how they bounce back from that. Early in the season, teams tend to bounce back better, but teams that get their doors blown off aren't teams I'm excited about asking them to do a whole lot the next week, let alone laying a couple touchdowns, let alone scoring points, let alone getting stops. So it's not a game where I have a strong opinion on the total. Sidewise, Rutgers, their coach just got fired. They're just coming off the worst game you could ever possibly have. I don't trust Maryland in this point spread range. If I'm playing the game, it'll be on Rutgers plus the points as opposed to the total in this one.
Party Hardy Capping Info says, I think Minnesota laying 14 points to Illinois is too many. 357, 358 rotation number. They're at 14. There's a 13.5 at Bookmaker. This total opened at 60s, dropped to 57.5 at Pinnacle, 58 at the other books. Is Minnesota laying 14 points to Illinois too many?
Probably. Maybe. Look, let's put it this way. I'm not laying with the Gophers this week. No way. And Illinois gave them a game last year. We gave them a pretty good game last year, if memory serves correctly. Didn't they beat them? Or was it? Shoot, now I'm spacing on it. Let me just look it up real quick. I know that it was a battle a year ago. Illinois with an I. H-I. What the heck was it? The Minnesota. Yeah, they beat them by 24 last year. I knew there was something in that because this is one that I did some work on yesterday. And the thought process was, can I lay with Minnesota? And at the end of the day, I'm like, no, I'm not laying with Minnesota. The Gophers, every game that they've played so far this season has been a one-possession game. All right. And I do like this Minnesota team a fair bit. I think that I don't want to lay 14 with them, though, against Illinois coming off a bye. And Illinois they're like Rutgers. The offense isn't going to march up and down the field, but they do have a handful of playmakers who can get in the end zone. I'm not betting on Lovey. I just don't do it. I just don't do it. But if I had to play the game, again, my initial lean was Minnesota. And I'm like, no, it is too high. So if I had to play the game, I could only take Illinois, but I'm not going to play the game.
Chip Plylar asking about rotation number 359, 360, Rice, UAB. UAB opening at -10. Now 9.5s or 9s on the board. Total open at 43.5. It's 42 or 41.5 at some books. It's up to 44.5 at others. So confusion on the total. Teddy covers Rice, UAB.
So this is a fascinating game. It really is. Okay. So Rice is starting to cover some point spreads. They're keeping everything low scoring. They're feisty. Their defense is feisty. Their offense is as pedestrian as it gets. This team is not likely to put up points in bunches. UAB last week, we talked about it last week, saying coming into the season, UAB was straight fade for me. A team are absolutely looking to bet against, and they faced this ridiculously easy early schedule that left them overvalued moving forward. I'm like, I can't lay with UAB last week. And again, last week was a turnover game. It wasn't like UAB got blown off the field. It wasn't a well-played game. But now the markets are really crashing on UAB, I mean, we said, all right, the markets are way. It's going to come. There's going to come a time they're going to bet against the Blazers. I think it's a little cheap now. And UAB's been a one-way team for me this year. All I wanted to do was bet against UAB. Not in this game, not in this point spread range. The markets have adjusted and perhaps over-adjusted in this one. It'd be Blazers or pass for me. And again, I don't know how Rice scores. UAB's not a team I like playing a whole lot of unders with. So total-wise, I'm not going to get to the window.
Our gas station sushi, great capper, lives in Vegas, wants to know what you think about Kent State here. Rotation number 333, 334, Kent State, Wisconsin. Wisconsin opening up as 36.5-point favorites, and they still are there at Pinnacle 36 and some other books. Total open at 57.5, now 59.5. He likes Kent State here. He thinks there might be too many points. What do you think?
So it's a game that I've done that I'm not going to do anything with. And in general, when you start getting in the 5+ touchdown range, I don't do a lot with that in college football. I don't want the dogs in general because you know what happens with a dog like Kent in this game? The only thing you're worried about the whole game is tick, 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 tick. Because Kent's not going to do anything. Maybe they get a touchdown here, a touchdown there. Maybe they get, Kent's team total is going to be under 14 in this contest. And Wisconsin's going to hand the ball off, and the second half of the game, if Wisconsin's up 21, you're like, it's just a nail biter. Every time Wisconsin has the ball, they're going to be 6 yards and 8 yards and 2nd and 2, and oh no, we just broke off another one, and you're living that game on pins and needles because the underdog can't compete. Kent can't compete with Wisconsin. If Wisconsin isn't interested or is flat or whatever, Kent can hang around. But if Wisconsin's interested in any way, Kent, they'll score on every possession, and Kent has no chance to match them. So these aren't games I tend to bet unless I know the favorite's not interested. And Wisconsin, it's not a great Wisconsin spot. Off 2 pretty big games, and they got something big. They got something next week as well.
Spartans.
Let me just look that up real quick. Sparty. Yeah. They got Sparty next week, and that's a big game too. So it's the type of game that one would think Wisconsin's going to try, get them up 28-0 at halftime and let's get all the scrubs in. But then you're sweating the whole second half anyway. Conceptually, you're probably supposed to take Kent State here. Kent State's a pretty bad team. I don't want my money on them.
And he's coming off a max bet on Connecticut that cashed last week due to circumstances, and that's what he's looking for here. I'm assuming he's also wondering about Marshall. We've had a couple people ask about this Marshall Middle Tennessee spot. Marshall opening up at 7-point favorites, now 4-point favorites. This total is stuck at 57 in Pinnacle, although it has moved to 56 or 55.5 in other books. Marshall Middle Tennessee, Teddy.
It's on the short list. I think Marshall's cheap here. And what happened to that team? I mean, it's been like, they opened up the season and looked really good, and they had the game against Boise that wasn't pretty, but the defense was there. And then it's like Marshall there's no betting market support. There's no groundswell support for them. They haven't lived up to expectations. And this is a team they're supposed to be able to go in and beat. I think they're a lot better than Middle defensively. And Marshall's the only way I would look in that ball game. I think they're absolutely worth a look. And they'll be one of the games that I'll be researching today.
Well, let's talk about that short list. So I've been writing down each day what you're liking, what you're thinking about, and I love it. This is very, very enjoyable for me. So let's hear Teddy's short list here on Wednesday, October 2nd.
Sure. I'm just going to plow through a bunch of games, because they're all on here. Number 324, Army plus. I'm interested in number 326, Duke minus. Is one that has stood out to me. I think Duke might be a team to ride. I will most assuredly, we already talked about Central Michigan. I'll be on Central. We've already seen 6.5, so I'm still waiting for a 7. I don't know that I'm going to get one. That's game betting number 336, Central Michigan. I'm tempted to bet against Virginia Tech again. The Hurricanes are on my short list. Game number 338, Miami minus. We talked about Missouri Troy over already. At -3, I'll get to Michigan. I'm going to get there. Game number 356. We haven't seen the threes yet. I think we will. Air Force is one that we talked about already earlier in the week. I like the Air Force as a short road chalk. I'm glad I locked in on that one early. That one's already up to 3.5. Ohio U is one that I'm interested in. My power number came out way higher than that. I had Ohio U favored more than a touchdown against Buffalo. So that's one that interests me. Iowa State is on the short list, betting number 374. It's the right spot and the right opponent. I think Iowa State's defense is a big week this week. Marshall, we just talked about. Auburn, we talked about already on the show. Marshall betting number 377. Auburn betting number 375. We talked about that Memphis ULM over. That's on the short list, 389, 390. And you guys will hate this one. Sparty first half. Michigan State. If I'm playing Michigan State, it will only be a first half play. And I don't know that I'm going to play it. But, as we saw, Michigan State's defense is capable of getting stops against anybody. I worry about them wearing down like they did last year. That game was 9-6 into the fourth quarter, final 26-6. Wouldn't shock me if something like that happened this year as well. If I'm playing Michigan State, it'll only be first half. There you go. There you have it. Yeah.
I love it. I love that short list.
There's a short list for you. There's a Wednesday list.
I was feverishly writing things down. Mississippi Kid says, love Michigan -3. They win by 2 TDs. Guru Sports says, I'm doing the same thing with Michigan. I think they roll Iowa. Love it. Love it. And Black Rogue, liking that first half, says, I like that look, Teddy. Full game. They won't cover. Gonna copy and paste Anders Larson's looks. All right, so we've heard Teddy's short list on Wednesday. You have to come join us on Betting with the Bag tomorrow morning and Friday morning to see what ends up making the cut and what he goes to the window with. Teddy covers what a treat it is to roll with you each and every day here at Betting with the Bag. All you guys watching, low baggers everywhere, please follow Teddy Covers on Twitter. He's a very exciting follow, does a lot, very active on Twitter, and gets you that NCAA football insights that we so desperately need. Teddy Covers, can you remind everybody what your Twitter handle is? And any last words for these great cappers in the chat?
So every day I keep on forgetting to ask you at the top of the show. Tomorrow I'm finding out why they call you Jimmy the Bag. I need to know the nickname, dude. I got to know. Teddy Covers was easy. I started a site, it was called Who Covers, and they're like, oh, Teddy Covers. Yeah, it was a nickname. And it was a nickname that I didn't even give myself. Someone else gave it to me, and I'm like, that's a good nickname, and it caught. But Jimmy the Bag, I don't know where you got it from. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's real simple. Teddy at Teddy_Covers. Getting a ton of follows every day. Really appreciate all the support from the low baggers out there. And again, like Jimmy says, I don't tweet constantly. I'll retweet a lot of stuff, but my goal is always information. I'm not going to treat you with one thing I don't do is go on these crazy tweet storms when I'm pissed off at something. That's when I go outside and scream at the clouds. But I will try to give you as much info as I possibly can, especially over the weekends when I know everyone is in front of their TV. So at Teddy_Covers. And Jimmy, we'll do it again tomorrow. I look forward to it, buddy.
I can't wait. NHL is back. We got playoff baseball, NCAA football, and soon NBA and NCAA basketball, where we eat. So I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Teddy. Have yourself a wonderful Wednesday. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, my friend.
Cheers. Best of luck.
There he is, Teddy Covers. All right, more work to do, but everything is coming together. The analysis is coming together for how we're going to hit this NCAA football card. I have no play on baseball, but I do have Knights -1.5 plus 160. I bet it at plus 160. I got it on the show plus 170. It's my first looks of the season. And our Parlay Papi's first looks of the season, he is liking the Capitals. The Capitals to take care of business on the road against the Blues. He's also liking the Knights in regulation. And Dan Kelly, thank you so much for saying go watch the series on Jimmy the Bag. Who is Jimmy the Bag? That does tell you how I got the name The Bag. It's a documentary. A lot of people, but a lot of bullshit in there too. I could tell you why I think I got called The Bag, but other people have different stories. Who cares? Much love to you guys, and so dope that Dan Kelly's back with us. The squad is coming together. Hockey's back in action. Much love to all you guys. Let's have a big Wednesday, and I can't wait to rock with you guys this evening. Most importantly, though, Lecce, Halos bookmakers. Let's get after it.